tonight's special guest, who, as you may have guessed from our opening track, Love Plus One, which burst onto the pop scene in the early 80s. The lead singer of Haircut 100 is here. We are delighted to welcome to the great conversation, Nick Heyward.
Hello, Jackie.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. I haven't been stuck in a deep freezer, which clearly you have for the past 35, 40 years, because you don't look any bloody different.
Oh, bless you. Bless you.
You're looking very well, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, I didn't sleep so well last night.
Didn't you? Well, it agrees with you. Well, you had a busy old year, really, haven't you? You know, starting with the Pelican West 40th re-release and a couple of gigs. You've announced a big tour that's coming up October, November. And, of course, you're at all the Rewind festivals.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be kind of like slowing down, but I think it's like Noel Rodgers and Sparks and Stones. They just seem to be, I mean, they're all about 10 years on us at the moment. So I think that the older you get, the more intense you get, the more you're appreciative of being here. So you just think, I'm going to celebrate it, even though you haven't got the stamina. You think, keep ploughing the field, Nick. Keep ploughing. Right. You know, so it doesn't. I don't mind being that. No, it's just like, okay, just go with it. It's just what it is.
How much have you been enjoying sort of doing shows again, and sort of playing to? There's such a resurgence of affection for music from the 80s and the 90s, isn't there? That there just seems to be a renewed vigour around that time. We kind of went through a period where it was deemed a bit naff or a bit cheesy, but then it's all come back around again. How's it from your perspective?
Well, I can feel that joy that you can feel it from the audience, and the joy is also reciprocated because, you know, the further away that gets, the nicer it gets as well. You know, you just let stuff go as you get older as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to see Duran Duran a couple of weeks ago with Noel Rodgers' Chics playing with them as well. Brilliant gig. And I was in the audience and 12 rows back, and I felt the joy of the couple next to me who were just singing away to each other, the father and son in front of me, who were wearing Paper Gods T-shirts. The same T-shirts had the same posture, which reminded me of my son and I. I thought, I know what goes on behind the scenes and what it takes for this. And that goes right out the window when you're just in the moment, in the gig, at the gig, and sensing all the joy that's coming back as a kind of mutual appreciation society. And so that's why it is. You got too far this time.
1984, a number one hit for Duran Duran. That's The Reflex, remixed by Nile Rodgers, of course, who our special guest Nick Heyward enjoyed watching perform alongside Duran Duran at a recent show. Okay, so Nick, as we are inclined to do, I think you know the brief for our great conversation. We want to figure out how you became the artist we all got to know back in the early 80s. So let's track down some of the earliest musical influences right now, starting with your memories of the first record you ever bought. Do you remember that?
Well, I do. I bought Laughing Gnome by David Bowie.
Oh, wow. Very sophisticated.
Well, I bought that and Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves by Cher.
Right.
Around about the same time. And I can't remember which one came first. I know I had to put a penny or a sixpence on them because they were both warped.
Gypsies, tramps and thieves, we hear it from the people of the town. Tramps and thieves, but every night all the men would come around. And growing up as a teenager, did you have posters on the bedroom wall? Did you sort of become...
I used to I thought the mirror was the bedroom wall, and so I used to stand in front of it in triple denim with orange platform shoes, and long blonde hair, centre parting, huge teeth, and I just mime to Down by Status Quo. That was what my memory was. It was not so posters. It was like, I want to do this. I want to see Stardust as well, and that'll be the day it just stopped.
Down Down, number 1 in 1974 for Status Quo, with Nick Heyward playing along on air guitar in front of his bedroom mirror, and he must have been about 13. And we will carry on with our meander down Nick Heyward's musical memory lane as our great conversation continues next. Welcome back to the evening show with Jackie Brambles, where it's just you, me, and our special guest, Haircut 100's Nick Heyward, cozying on in for our great conversation. Nick's going to be following up his fabulous appearances at Rewind Scotland and Rewind North with a performance at Rewind South this Saturday. Not to be missed if you can make it to Henley-on-Thames for an amazing weekend of outstanding performances. Talking of which, let's talk about your own first experiences, Nick, as an audience member watching musicians perform on stage. What was your first big gig of note that you saw as a kid?
My father took me to see Count Basie, Ray Charles and Oscar Peterson on one bill at Hammersmith Odeon. When I didn't even know what this was, I thought this just these wizards, what they're doing down there, this music that was coming out of off the stage. It was just mesmerising.
What you say? Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more. So mean, you're the meanest old woman that I've ever seen.
Dad used to have loads of jazz around the house anyway, so knowing that this music that was around the house wasn't just wasn't made in the house, it was made in this other magical kingdom somewhere. America was somewhere else, and these people were real, and I was watching them, and they were playing it. This wizardry that was going on, and then the older I got, then I got to be into the music that I liked genuinely. So then it was my father and brother. He used to play Pink Floyd and Dark Side of the Moon in the car, and then Dave Brubeck would go on, and then it would be back to Diamond Dogs, and then Mum would put the Carpenters on, and
a nice mix.
I didn't really, because I was the youngest, I didn't develop it until I went to the records shop.
What would be the first sort of pop rock gig that you went to go and see then? You sort of started out with your dad at his jazz sort of.
Well, we're lucky to have Croydon Fairford Halls near us because we're in Beckenham. That was great. I did go and see Sparks, actually, on CCC there.
Right.
And in fact, Sparks, I got to be in their documentary because I went to that concert.
Oh, great.
And they got in touch. Yeah, I'm in the documentary because I was at that gig, and apparently that was the last gig that they played before they left the UK for like 15 years or something.
Is that right?
Not to return for that long, and it was I remember after it was This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us was kicking off at the time.
A number 2 hit in 1974, This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us by Sparks, the band that our special guest Nick Heyward first saw playing live. Anyone else from that sort of time that you remember seeing back then, Nick?
Yes, I saw Hawkwind. Well, and then I remember queued up all night with our late Austin Parker when we saw Captain Fantastic tour, Elton John.
Oh, huge.
So I got to see the original band, and it was an amazing time. And then Pulk happened across the road at the Greyhound pub. So that's when I started to see the Jam and Talking Heads and XTC and Boomtown Rats and
some really good bands,
Buzzcocks and things. And so feel very honoured that all this great music was local. And of course in Beckenham we had David Bowie, was like a lighthouse beam. We used to treat, the band got together in the 3 Tons, which was his kind of laboratory, his pop art laboratory, as it were, and it had turned into a pub when we were going there, and we just used to go in there and try out our different band names. Like that's where we tried out Haircut 100 to our mates. What do you think of our new name? And they were like, Haircut what? And why? So we knew that was the right name. So, and Les Graham and I lived together at that time, and we lived and breathed being in a band, and we were convinced we were going to be the biggest band around. We just thought, yes, we're going to do it. We're going to live our dream. And
you weren't wrong. You weren't wrong. And who would have been around at that time then, Nick? But when you were maybe getting a bit of attention, you're starting to feel, quietly confident that things were going to start to happen for you. Who would have been your contemporaries in swimming in that same pond?
just ahead was the kind of new romantic thing, and it was actually Duran Duran that just taken off in Spandau, because we're really influenced. I mean, I think if Spandau Ballet hadn't have done chart number 1, there probably wouldn't have been a Brit funk sort of cultural wave just coming over the horizon that once that we ended up surfing.
Got to number 3 in 1981. Spandau Ballet's 4th single release, chart number 1, leading the way with a new romantic, funkier vibe then, Nick.
That had a huge effect on London and the music world at that time. It was clubs. There were, the Blitz had closed, and so it was other clubs starting, Club for Heroes, and other things were going on. But up in Birmingham, there was a Rum Run, I remember, and we managed to get a gig there, and that was where Duran Duran had launched. And so we thought we got on the train and did the gig, and then with all our instruments, we kind of missed the train back, and we had to wait till the morning. But you didn't mind in those days because you thought,
rock and roll.
You just sleep on Birmingham station, and that's fine. It's not that cold, but it's not that cold. And you've got your mates with you, and I think that strong connection, because we've got that. I mean, we rehearsed for many years before Heyward 100 took off.
Yeah.
So we've got a strong foundation of together.
Yeah, that friendship.
So that's what we get when we get back together now. It's just like old friends that just pick up where they left off, even if it's been 5 years or 10 years or something. We just kind of go,
And so when you guys did break through and you did make it, do you remember, your first Top of the Pops? I was just looking it up on the database, and you tell me if you can remember. In studio with you would have been The Furies with Davy Arthur when you were Sweet 16.
Who's Mel that said, I can't get my band to wear Aran jumpers, and can you believe an Irish folk band, I can't get them to wear Aran sweaters, and so here you are in Aran sweaters, what's the secret? And I said, well, it's cold. It's cold out. That's why we're wearing it. We wore the jumpers, and then we got in there, and it was freezing. So we all had jumpers on, and our publisher at the time, Brian, said, you had this huge cigar, because he was, larger-than-life character with an Aston Martin outside.
Oh, yeah.
He'd published Pink Floyd and The Jam and stuff, and he said, right, leave them on. Leave the drummers on.
Like you like that look.
Get them on, those happy accidents that happen.
That's the track that got a lot of knitting needles clicking as Aran sweaters got trendy and British pop got even funkier with the debut hit single of Haircut 100. Favourite Shirts, Boy Meets Girl got to number 4 in 1981. And we'll be back to hear what happened next with our special guest Nick Heyward as our great conversation continues. Welcome back to the evening show with Jackie Brambles, the home of great conversations with living legends. Tonight, our special guest is Haircut 100's Nick Heyward. And before the break, Nick, we were talking about appearing on Top of the Pops for the first time, which is like this amazing portal to pop stardom. So once you'd hit the big time, did you have any memorable full circle moments where you got to meet or perform alongside a musical hero?
Well, in California, we played a place called the Country Club. Ralph Ravenscroft, who played Baker Street. Yeah. He was there and said, hey, man, could I come up and play with you? We're like,
oh, wow.
Can you? Yeah, jump on stage for Fantastic Day. So he did. And it's just one of those other pinching moments, because it hadn't been long before when I was a commercial artist stroke messenger, around the streets, taking parcels and to advertising agencies. I've been walking around singing Baker Street because it was that was one of those records that was such a strong imprint in my mind.
Yeah.
I was delivering, we used to deliver in Baker Street. So I'd be going to Baker Street and singing Baker Street. And it seemed to be number one forever. And what the song, I mean, we didn't have headphones then, but you just have to have a story in your mind.
That's right.
And that would be the soundtrack, walking down the street thinking and imagining Baker Street.
Of course, after Haircut 100, you fairly quickly went on to have solo success. How did that compare for you? Was there a lot less pressure, or was it a lot more lonely, or what was the ups and the downs of it?
All of that.
Correct.
Yes, it was that. Yeah, and that's what I prefer. I do prefer being with my mates because that was on our original dream. So, in that kind of sense of solidarity is just still there. So
yeah,
it is more enjoyable. I've always been a team player anyway. I mean, even when I have been in the band, I've built little teams of people and stuff. I like working together with people. I really enjoy that.
That's where you sort of flourish.
That's where I kind of come alive. If my own devices, I'll just sit and probably just do not a lot,
Procrastinate.
See, with people, and it's just like, oh, hello. It's like having a conversation with yourself. We wouldn't be doing this, would we, if it was just... We get together and stuff happens. It's like you're improvising immediately. I mean, that's what I love. I love conversation and communication. And
yeah, you seem quite introspective in that regard. So would you then, if I were to say to you, if you could get in your time machine and go back and whisper some words of wisdom to the younger you after his first Top of the Pops, let's say, what would you have said, or would you not have said anything?
Don't worry. Don't worry so much.
It's going to be fine.
Calm down. Breathe. Breathe. Take a deep breath through your nose. And out through your nose. That's it. I remember once when I did get really stressed, really, really stressed, and this nurse said to me, just breathe. And I always remember that because it's such words of wisdom. She was dead right.
Yeah.
Just breathe. Take a breather,
How can you take back my pride? Situation.
Nick Heyward, one of his solo hits, Take That Situation, got to number 11 in 1983. So having gone through the difficulties of leaving the band and going it alone as a solo artist, I can imagine a lot of life lessons were learned through those turbulent times.
Oh yeah, it's the tough stuff that changes you. Nobody changes for the better when they win the lottery, do they? All the great things that supposedly happen to them.
There's no great life lessons there, is there?
No, it's all the other stuff. That's what really gets you connected, with the deep peace that is within, and that joy that you aspire to when you're young. And you get glimpses of it.
Yeah.
But it's not actually when you actually know it and feel it, and it's like, right, I am it now. Okay, right. And you don't get that, the balance right, and you don't get the mood swings, and you don't get that. And even if you do, you can go with it. But in my experience, it's just literally all the tough stuff is where the best stuff happens. If you can use it, if you utilize it properly, it can be a portal into the joy that you've been after all your life. But, you can only, younger, you're aspiring to it. But just what I was saying is you can go back and just saying, just breathe, just breathe. Like the nurse says,
Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, the uncle.
Well, listen, we're almost out of time, so we need you to pick a final track for us to play, Nick, in honour of your upcoming Rewind performance and the UK tour that kicks off in October. Let's pick a live track, shall we, that you particularly love. What are you going to go for?
Okay, well, Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, because it was posted through my letterbox by my girlfriend, and I'd never heard anything so beautiful in all my life. I just put it on, and it was just... never heard of before music. This was a rhapsody, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I felt like you were taking on a journey. So it pushed the boundaries of music. It was just beautiful. I couldn't believe the sound of it. Pure wizardry.
Mama, you skilled a man.
From Live Aid, Bohemian Rhapsody, our final track tonight as chosen by our special guest, Nick Heyward. Let's remind our listeners that not only are you appearing at Rewind South this weekend, but I know that you are really champing at the bit to get back together with the guys from Haircut 100 for a big UK tour kicking off in October. And you so obviously have that same joyous enthusiasm performing as you always did as a band.
That's what we still get when we get together now. I mean, on the tour, we're going to be feeling that. That's the essence, you know, when it starts happening,
yeah,
that's what happens. You feel that same euphoria that you felt in rehearsals when you were 16, 17.
Brilliant. Well, it's been a fantastic evening with a great conversation. Thank you so much, Nick.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. It was lovely to talk to you.
Real pleasure, mate. We'll see you soon.
Cheers, mate. Bye, Blue.
Nick Heyward.